Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please take your seats. And a very warm welcome to a wonderful occasion here at the Barony Hall. And this building is one of the jewels in the university's estate. We do many things in here. Most importantly, we graduate our fantastic students. We have our graduands, as they currently are, before me in the hall, and just as many behind us, all ready to celebrate their fantastic achievements. But this is just as much about the family, friends, supporters, and those that have come to witness this fantastic occasion. As well as the graduations, some of our students may recall we occasionally have examinations in here as well, so you might not have some great memories about this place, but whatever you've done, you've succeeded in getting here today to graduate properly. Also you should know that every year Strathclyde graduates about 4,500 people. An army of Strathclyders are going into the world to make a difference, whether it's in business and industry, third sector, even into education, and occasionally into politics. But very importantly, we celebrate great achievement because this is what it's all about, getting our graduates through their degree programme, having them through this state of maturity to enter into their next phase of their lives and celebrate all of this. And celebrate we should do. Whilst you're in some rather august surroundings, we want you to enjoy yourselves. So when the graduates come across the stage for me to cap them, and when I cap you, that's me conferring the degree upon you. Then you get your PhDs, your masters, whatever it might be that you've been studying for. But to the family and friends, by all means let them know that you're here, within reason. Applause is fine, but and occasionally letting them know that you're here as well is entirely appropriate. And we want to enjoy yourself on that basis. I always quite enjoy standing behind this bit of furniture. This is how we used to graduate people, where folk would come along and kneel before the Chancellor or the Vice-Chancellor. We're a wee bit more egalitarian these days. So I'll look you in the eye. For some of you, it might be a stretch. We'll confer the degree as I look to you to then take your degree forward and get on with your career. So please enjoy yourself. And of course, these are great occasions, and occasionally we get an additional celebration to augment the ceremony. And today is one of those days when we celebrate contributions of highly accomplished individuals who have contributed to business, to industry, to economy, and indeed society. And I'm very proud today to be welcoming a real accomplished son of Glasgow, and that's Lord William Haughey, who is next to me on the stage, about whom you'll hear a little bit more in a moment. So we're going to graduate Willie first of all. We'll hear from Willie in terms of his reflections, and then we'll go into the graduation, after which point I'll give you an update about the university. So I should have you out by about 8:30 tonight, if that's okay. But in any case, relax, enjoy yourself. It's an important day. I'll now declare this ceremony formally open and invite Professor David Hillier to introduce our honorary graduate. Welcome, and thank you very much.
Principal and Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present to you Lord William Haughey, engineer, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and one of Scotland's most successful and socially conscious business leaders. Born in the Gorbals in Glasgow in 1956, Lord Haughey began his career as a refrigeration and air conditioning engineer. In the early 1980s, he rose to become general manager for UTS Carrier in the United Arab Emirates, the largest air conditioning company in the world at that time. But it was back in Glasgow in 1985 that he laid the foundations for his most enduring achievement, the creation of City Refrigeration, co-founded with his wife, Susan. From modest beginnings, just 4 employees and £100,000 turnover, City evolved into City Facilities Management, one of the largest privately owned integrated facilities management companies in the world. Today, the business employs over 7,500 people across offices in the UK, France, Australia, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, and North America. The company manages over 600 million square feet of retail and commercial property and has secured long-term contracts with major global retailers such as Asda, Marks & Spencer's, Morrisons, Wesfarmers Coles, Jardine Matheson and others. Its projected turnover this year is £1.4 billion, with ambitions to grow to £2.5 billion within the next 3 years. And notably, the company remains 99% family-owned and entirely debt-free. Lord Haughey's business achievements have been widely recognised. He was named Entrepreneur of the Year for Scotland in 2000, received an OBE in 2003 for services to entrepreneurship in the west of Scotland, and was knighted in the Queen's Birthday Honours of 2012. In 2013, he was elevated to the House of Lords by then Prime Minister David Cameron. And in 2018, he received 2 major accolades from Ernst & Young, Entrepreneur of the Year Scotland and UK Entrepreneur of the Year for Sustained Excellence. In 2019, the Institute of Directors awarded him Chairman of the Year. But beyond the boardroom, Lord Haughey is a formidable force in charitable giving and community support. The Haughey Family Charitable Trust, founded in 2002, has donated over £20 million to causes ranging from youth development and healthcare to international aid. In 2023, he and Lady Haughey received the Papal Knighthood of St. Gregory the Great, awarded by Pope Francis, in recognition of their outstanding charitable contributions. Most recently, City Facilities Management is committed to building and managing 11,000 affordable homes across the UK, a bold and compassionate response to the housing crisis that reflects Lord Haughey's belief in providing dignity and opportunity for all. Lord Haughey's journey is emblematic of what is possible when vision is matched by resolve and prosperity is shared with purpose. And to the graduates assembled today, he offers a compelling example that success is not a destination, but a platform for reinvention, for impact, and for service. It is with great pleasure, therefore, Principal and Vice-Chancellor, that with the authority of Senate, I ask you to confer upon Lord William Haughey the degree of Doctor of the University honoris causa.
Lord Haughey, it's my great pleasure to create you a Doctor of the University honoris causa. We're proud to have you associated with us, and welcome to the Strathclyde family.
Thank you.
David, thank you so much for that introduction. I don't know if I can live up to that. It's an absolute honour and a pleasure, and most certainly humbling, to stand before you here as a recipient of an honorary degree bestowed upon me by one of the finest educational institutions in Europe, Strathclyde University. I'd like to thank the Principal, Professor Sir Jim MacDonald, the Court and Senate for considering and nominating me for this wonderful title. I've spent 2 of my most proudest moments in this magnificent building. The first was watching my son graduate in 2003, and to be back here today to receive an honorary degree is something very special and one I'll cherish forever. A lot has been written in the media over the years about how I left school with no qualifications, which is true, but there is more to the story. When I left school, I immediately enrolled in Langside College, and then after 9 months, I went on to Springburn Technical College, where I gained a City and Guilds in refrigeration engineering. I then went to Glasgow University and Edinburgh University, and I fixed all the fridges. As proud as we all are here today, it's not about me or people receiving honorary degrees. it is about you, the students who are graduating. And this will be one of the proudest days in your life. And no matter how proud that you feel, I can tell you, your parents feel this is the proudest day in their life. You will never make them prouder. Sorry, I take that back. Grandchildren will certainly help. As you start this part of your journey, the world of work, I wish you the very best of luck. I sincerely hope there is plenty of budding entrepreneurs amongst you. Believe me, Scotland needs you. And I will leave you with one piece of advice. When John Anderson had the wonderful idea of laying the foundation for a second great university for this city, as clever as he was, he could never imagine the magnitude of his creation. And what that does is it just proves what can be achieved with passion and hard work and dedication. This wonderful institution has given you the tools and the foundation to achieve anything. Go and conquer the world. Thank you.
Principal and Vice-Chancellor, in the name of the University and by the authority of the Senate, I present to you these students for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for the research in the Department of Pure and Applied Chemistry, Henry Barrington. Henry Braddock. Benjamin Clark. Gemma Cook. Caitlin Fawcett. Jodie Ferguson. David Fernandez Awagu. Claudine Sophie Greenwood. Rachel Kuribo Unkuru. Siobhan Palmer. James Thomas Rowley. Admir Sally Howick. Rebecca Stevens. Eisen Thompson Hirsch. Harry Wilders. For the degree of Doctorate of Philosophy with Integrated Studies in Pure and Applied Chemistry, Emma Alexander. For the degree of Masters in Science in Applied Chemistry and Chemical Engineer, Ale Amok. Susanna Bourvier. Greg Foley. Aisha Louisa Gunn. Josh Carney Yagas. Kira Jacqueline McNichol. Victoria Monroe Pizzaioli. Phil Ramsey. Alexander George Sands. Lou Jean Suleiman. Amba Octavia Talbot. Sarah Iona Thompson. Calvin Hui Nguyen Turner. For the degree of Masters of Chemistry in Chemistry, Ali Coates Bird. Alexander Bell. Benjamin James Boyce. Katie Ann Butt. Lewis Campbell. Elena Carne Mola. Blair Danjet. Ewan Joseph Dillon. Mia Marion Dunn. Nicholas Hamilton Fraser. Scott Campbell Gardner. Shauna Margaret Fife Grief. Rose Frances Alexandra Harvey. Sophie Ellis Lech. Hannah Violet McLaughlin. Heather Nichol. Lucas Joshua Riviera Blair. Alexander Sadiq. Alistair James Reid Sharp. Bartosz Tomszewski. Olivia Mary Whittle. Megan Gurturian Yambu Nanganzi. In Chemistry with Drug Discovery, Alicia Atkin. Cara Alsop. Gabrielle Benzanti. Ross Stephen Clark. Niamh Devaney. Morven Leah Gray. Leah Hayward. Grant Henry. Rachel McCabe. Olivia Helen Moore. Laszlo Peltzer. Rachel Phillips. Adam Short. Sophie Faye Thompson. Desmond Yu Chung Wong. In Forensic and Analytical Chemistry, Rebecca Armstrong. Jordan Baxter. Leanne Grace Bryce. Hannah Loney Burns. Kirsten Douglas. Bethany Gibson. Lauren Jade Howley. Naima Hussain. Hayo Lu Lau. Imogen Maxwell. Emma Louise McBurney. Sarah Caroline McLeese. Natalie Woodsinska. Laura Ann O'Neill. Simarli Lise Mint Simone. Saskia Louise Storney. I've got Joan Umbulo. Jamie Wilson. Hayo Lam Wong. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Chemistry, Aren Badadine. Niamh Ann Campbell. Lydia Grace Cook. Tom James Devine. Ewan Bally Dunsmore. David Featherstone. Thomas James Haley. Bayad Ibrahimi. Francis Johnstone. Nina Francesca Kaminski. Emily McIlver. Matthew McKay. Georgia McNabb. Callum McPherson. Patrick Charles McNeil. Amy O'Keefe. Abby Rankin. Arnold Tom John. In Chemistry Professional Experience, Kerry Mulholland. In Chemistry with Drug Discovery, John James Cosgrove. Shireen Haddad. In Chemistry with Teaching, Shanice Higgins. Megan Quinn. Laiba Miriam Sadiq. In Chemistry with Teaching International, Sarah Yunus Salim Haid Al-Hajari. Maida said Sadiq Al-Mosihi. Hein Turkey Mahoud Al-Rishi. In Forensic and Analytical Chemistry, Abigail Elizabeth Atkin. Emma Charlotte Byrne. Nathan Craig. Paige Gallagher. Sophie Margaret Gardner. Kevin McGee. Ben Morris. Abby Mulholland. Anna Roddick. Mark Shaw. Ellie Wood.
Principal and Vice-Chancellor, in the name of the University and by the authority of Senate, I present to you these students. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for Research in the Department of Chemical and Process Engineering, Olwagbemi Victor Aladiokin. Fraser Miles Bajent. Magdalena Hudek. Abdul Wadud Sharif. Tom Peter Douglas Stavert. For the degree of Master of Science in Advanced Chemical Engineering, Abdullah Abubakar Ali Al-Balushi. Ayat Salim Mohammed Al-Dabari. Kieran Caig. Alfred Chalk. Amal Ramanand Kaipada. For the degree of Master of Engineering in Chemical Engineering, Sophie Kira Alexander. Gonzalo Alvarez Garcia. Stephanie Armour. Amin Atri. Cameron Boyd. Eve Clark. Ewan David Crawford. Shimon Marek Dobrovolsky. Ewan James Donald. Nicholas Farnan. Toluwani Giwa. Gabriel John Patrick Hamill. Jake Jackson Houston. Joshua Howard. Evan Robert Kane. Callum John McGregor. Ewan James McIntyre. Matthew James McKinnon. Nicholas Joseph Manini. Gabrielle McCluskey. Paige Eri MacDonald. Stuart Alexander McDowell. Ella Louise McElroy. Nihal Sharia Maya. Hannah McKellar Monk. Al-Harith Musbahi. Ariane Mia McPherson Nelms. Thomas George Nimmo. Declan Joseph O'Callaghan. Niamh Padden. Ben Patterson. Akira Samajima. Daniel Sanderson. Ewan Stewart. Ben Street. Craig Sidsurf. Lloyd Dale Thompson. Christy Jane O'Neill Tierney. Zach Josh Weiss. Luke Watson. Luke Wilson. Katie Louise Yeoman. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Chemical Engineering, Khalid Faisal Said Al-Hinai. Peyton Christina Allen. Callum Ian Andrews. James John Claricoats. Fernando Muondo Dalla. Ewan Durkee. Sean Andrew Eason. Deborah Ferreira. Robert Alexander Gillen. Shane Goodsell. Cameron James Samuel Gordon. Amelia Elizabeth Hare. Rosanna Lane. Ben Langan. Mark Christopher Long. Tekin Mikora. Thomas Edward Rigby. Ewan Robertson. Isabella Hanlon Sloan. James Vint. Dexter Yim. For the degree of Master of Science in Sustainable Engineering Chemical Processing, Mohammed Asfandyar Awan.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's give the class of 2025 a big round of applause. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, and now to our wonderful Strathclyde graduates, let me reiterate our very warm welcome to this fantastic ceremony, a day that none of you will forget. It marks the successful conclusion of years of hard work, and now you've graduated in front of your proud families, your friends, supporters, and of course your classmates. Today we welcome visitors from across Scotland, from throughout the UK, and of course from a wonderful international community too. We're delighted to see all of you here to enjoy the celebrations. And as you complete your time here with us now, please remember that you are graduating from an institution where freedom of thought is valued and encouraged, and we're a place that tries to be tolerant and inclusive, and where people of diverse national, cultural and social backgrounds come together to enjoy excellent education and a shared student experience. Because at Strathclyde, we all benefit from having staff and students from over 130 different countries. We try to be a socially progressive community, one that seeks to be an exemplar for modern society, because we're proud to be plural, multicultural and enlightened. It's our responsibility, graduates now, it's your responsibility to continue to challenge unacceptable practices, including, and perhaps particularly, by those in power, by using reason and by exemplifying the very best features of a diverse and inclusive society. We can't help but comment that we note the horror of war and conflict that we're witnessing across the world. And that means all of you should aim to be part of the next generation of more enlightened leaders. The illegal war that's been waged in Ukraine by Russia, the humanitarian disaster that's unfolding before us in Gaza, and the danger of the escalating hostilities that we've seen between Israel and Iran, now with America's involvement. Of course, that means that we face more risk and uncertainty. 'Twas ever thus, but never underestimate the opportunity that you have for personal impact and the democratic influence that you can bring to bear on our policymakers. But most importantly for today, we're here to acknowledge, of course, your hard work, the learning that you've built up, and the successful completion of your degree course. This will be your Strathclyde passport to making a full contribution to your career and society at large, in spite of the flux and uncertainty that we're all facing. A few short years ago, you will remember, we had the pride in this city of hosting COP26, a wonderful way for showing Glasgow to the world and bringing the world to Glasgow. It was the summit of world leaders coming together to agree measures to minimise global warming and climate change. And during the conference, I had the honour of having meetings with Michael Bloomberg, John Kerry, who at that time was the Special Ambassador from the States on climate, and in particular on this campus with the privilege of hosting former US President Barack Obama, who came here on our campus for an afternoon. And he came to speak to young people, activists, people like yourselves, that have knowledge, have drive, have an ethical and moral approach to getting things done, and the critical role that your generation will play in tackling climate change. Now, you might imagine because of security, Mr. Obama arrived here under a cloak of secrecy, but through the powers of social media, the secret didn't last too long. And before he left us a few hours later, a crowd of a few hundred had gathered to say goodbye to him in our Learning and Teaching building. And as he left the building, I had the privilege to spend some time with him. But he turned to those that were gathered and he shouted out 2 words, and it was, "Get active." And let me repeat that to you, and I encourage all of you, graduates, to get active. Get active in your careers, what you choose to do, and please seek to make a difference in your personal lives and your careers. Be bold, have high levels of ambition, and go ahead, please, and apply yourselves. Thomas Edison, a fellow electrical engineer, said that genius is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. That was certainly true in my case. I'm sure you were much smarter than that. But what he's telling you is apply yourself. I was brought up here in Glasgow, just on the other side of the Clyde, in a sunny hamlet called Govan. And that town's historical motto is nihil sine labore, or nothing without hard work. And I embrace that ethos every day. And you're all smart, you're all highly accomplished, you've got fantastic potential before you. But I would suggest that you try and embrace that same ethos and take an approach in your future careers. Work hard, apply yourselves, and that will take you very often through the challenges that you face. Because today, you've become Strathclyde alumni, and you are now the latest of the university's torchbearers, if you will, just like those from generations that have gone before you. And with all that you've successfully come through now, I'm sure you'd agree that you could not have done that without the backing and encouragement of the community of supporters around you, like many of the people in the hall with us here today. So it's very fitting, of course, that we acknowledge their part in the successful completion of your university studies. Our graduates, and indeed the university at large, owe them an enormous debt of gratitude. And having been the first in my family to go to university here at Strathclyde, as it happens, I know the importance of such support. So to our graduates and to my colleagues here on the stage with me, let's say a big thank you to these family, friends and supporters for all that they've done. Thank you. And for our excellent academic and support staff too, this is a very important day because ultimately your success is their reward. And on the stage today, we have our academics, our support staff, members of our governance system. We have valued friends and colleagues from industry and business. And we celebrate now that we've provided you with high-quality education and a first-class university experience for all of our students, regardless of background. So let me invite now our students and those in the hall to say a big thanks to our academic staff for all that they've done. Thank you. And also, as you leave here today, please take with you the important knowledge that we were founded in 1796. We're now 229 years old, although I like to think of it as a 200-year-old startup organisation, retaining the same sense of purpose, innovation and entrepreneurial spirit with a high risk appetite as in the time of our establishment. And throughout our history, the University of Strathclyde has remained faithful to our founding principles, and we were established, and I quote in the language of the day, for the benefit of all mankind. And we were the only higher education institution to be established in Scotland during the Enlightenment. Indeed, we are the 8th oldest higher education institution in the UK. Sometimes we forget to celebrate that. And it's a real distinction for Strathclyde. And we continue to drive the university forward now in our strategy in that same exciting spirit, making it wholly relevant for the 21st century. Our founder, Professor John Anderson, who was a physicist or natural philosopher, and a pretty good engineer as well too, had strong links with Benjamin Franklin, whose name you'll have heard. Franklin was one of the founders, apart from being a polymath. He helped set up the University of Pennsylvania in 1751 with the motto of useful knowledge. And what was going on here in Scotland with Adam Smith and all the Enlightenment thinkers, Benjamin's influence, John Anderson was inspired by this, and he wanted to have established a place of useful learning, a university that was connected to society, not a distant institution that many of the universities were at that time, and some actually still are. And never has that philosophy been so relevant since our establishment over 200 years ago. So please remember that motto. It should be known by all of our staff and students, defining our purpose as a leading international technological university that also is socially progressive. That last part of our DNA is important. We keep our doors wide open for any person with ability and ambition, perhaps not the means, to come in here and get educated and go on with their lives and their careers. And for example, across the campus and some of the buildings that you'll have passed today on your way to the Barony Hall, our academics, our researchers and our students are developing drugs to diagnose and fight disease. For example, we have several drugs and trials in the areas of cancer diagnosis and treatment, kidney disease, infection management and inflammatory diseases. Strathclydeers are producing the energy technologies and policy solutions to tackle climate change and to help create a low-carbon economy. We are revolutionising global manufacturing, helping to create what's called the fourth industrial revolution, Industry 4.0, through our work in robotics, AI, process automation, whether that's finding out new ways of making medicines, all the way through to designing new aircraft engines and frames. Our students continue their work in low-income countries, establishing clean water and power supplies, deploying healthcare systems in remote communities, and introducing new telecommunications infrastructure. They're transferring knowledge and bringing prosthetic limb technologies and applications to bioengineering clinics in those areas of need. And we're also, of course, working to inform public policy. It's a hard job to be a politician, of that there is no doubt, and we owe a service nationally to inform them through data, evidence and know-how, whether it's on education, health, energy, the economy or innovation strategies. And our staff in the £100 million Technology and Innovation Centre, the TIC building down in George Street, are working on decarbonising energy supplies. They're working on photonics and pharmaceuticals. The well-known inventor Thomas Edison that I've already mentioned called his technical teams and his laboratories the Inventions Factory. Well, let me tell you, TIC has become Scotland's Innovations Factory, working not only here in Scotland but through the UK and beyond. And we've further reinforced Strathclyde's leadership in that space by creating Scotland's first innovation district here in the heart of Glasgow, helping to attract, we're working with the city, with Scottish Enterprise, with governments north and south of the border, this magnetism into the city. It's effectively capturing the same spirit of entrepreneurship and industrial capabilities such as Lord Willie Haughey has been driving for the city. Strathclyde's in that mix as well, working on medtech, fintech, quantum technology, AI, advanced communications and space technology. Who knew that outside California, here in Glasgow, we've got the largest small satellite manufacturing capability in the world, fueled by great engineers, technologists, business minds, and many of them Strathclyde graduates. And many have invested in our journey. At any given time, we've got about £250 million worth of programme and research, but other people invest in us. One of our alumni, Dr. Charles Wang, he has a company called Innova Medical. You may remember when we all became amateur chemists during COVID with our lateral flow tests. Charles made those, he manufactured them. And he donated £50 million in here at Strathclyde to help drive our translation of great ideas into outcomes that could touch people's worlds. And we're delighted with his support. And out at the airport, we now have the Advanced Manufacturing Innovation District, catalysed by Strathclyde, supported by government and industry. There's about the £200 million capital investment out there, the National Manufacturing Institute, the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre. So when you're taking off for your holidays, look to the north-east of the runway and you'll see a large, currently anonymous-looking building which we're about to sort, large purple serrated roof building. That's the National Manufacturing Institute. And next to it, with CPI, working now on manufacturing medicines, And in the next year, we'll open, and I need to make sure my teeth are in for this, the Oligonucleotide Centre of Excellence for Manufacturing. And in 2 months' time, the Advanced Net Zero Innovation Centre. So forget all these acronyms. It's about the translation of research and the production of great people are attracting investment into our city between the two innovation districts, driving about £2 billion of GVA into the Scottish economy. So this is how we fuel, through useful learning, the productivity and the success of business and industry, with the tools they need to be more innovative, to promote economic growth, and to help the citizens of Glasgow in particular have a better quality of life that's sustainable and healthy. But very importantly, arguably most importantly, we provide people with the opportunity to transform their lives and the lives of their families. As I mentioned earlier, we have many of our students are first-generation entrants to universities, and we're proud of that. And that's some of the reasons why we've had a terrific sequence of independent recognition, not just of what we do, but how we do it. In recent years, we've featured regularly in what's known as the sectoral Oscars, the Times Higher Education Awards. We're the only university in the UK to have won UK University of the Year twice. We've been the Sunday Times Scottish University of the Year. We're the Scottish University of the Year just last year through the new Daily Mail University League tables, and we've maintained that top 10 position throughout. And just last week, we were the largest riser in the QS World Rankings in the UK, moved up 30 places, moving us into the top 200 or so. Remember, there's 25,000 universities in the world, so I wouldn't normally boast about being 251st in anything. But if you're in that cohort, then we can be proud of what my staff are achieving, along with our students. And of course, that represents the quality and breadth of what we do, and most importantly, the quality of the people here at Strathclyde. So we seek to have a disproportionate impact on economy and society, principally through all of you. I told you about the research, but being no doubt graduates, those of you here and on the stage, you are our most valuable contribution to society. You're the leaders, you're the risk takers, you're the change makers that are going to drive forward, in many ways, put to rights the challenges that my generation have given you, not least of which the geopolitical rumbles that we have and the climate change challenges. So please be positive and be confident about getting out there and making a difference. And the university sectors are certainly facing headwinds, whether it's through finances or policy or some of the international problems that we have. But remember, this place is 220 years old. We have ancients in this country that are 500, 600 years old, so we've come through a lot, and we must persist, because society would be worse off for the lack of universities, not least universities such as Strathclyde. And I am certainly sure that the two faculties that are represented today, the science faculty and the engineering faculty, and both deans are here to celebrate with their students today. Much is going on, and I can only give you some snippets. In pure and applied chemistry, for example, a new and emerging drug company at Strathclyde has received a major multi-million-pound grant to form a collaborative cystic fibrosis drug discovery programme to fight that using antimicrobial resistance problem, to make some of the drugs there that are meant to treat lung fungal infections, new drugs, to make sure those with this terrible disease to survive and hopefully thrive. In physics, again, we apply our sciences to the environment as well. Our physicists have set out an approach to monitor Antarctic krill, and that's important, in doing this from space observation, safeguarding one of the planet's most vital yet overlooked species. This Worldwide Fund for Nature partnership and the British Antarctic Survey would have joined forces now to monitor krill production from space, to try and make sure that we can intervene to overcome some of the worst ravages of climate change. And of course, the engineering faculty, and I know Lord Hohe knows a bit about this. In architecture, Strathclyde is a partner in a new initiative significantly reducing carbon emissions from high-density housing in UK cities and towns. The Centre for Net Zero High-Density Buildings is now testing new prototypes, new technologies and retrofitting into buildings to make, hopefully, our citizens healthier and have warmer homes. And in electronic and electrical engineering, and I won't mention much more than this, we have a great sets of technologies now being commercialised. We have a private pop-up 5G network, and that was designed by our Scottish engineers to beam, and they actually had the sombre role of beaming the funeral of the late Queen, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, and more joyfully, the coronation of King Charles III, came from Strathclyde Technology, beaming that across the world, and they've received 2 major industry awards as a result. This potentially game-changing technology reduces the reliance on fixed wire connections, and we have the world's media hanging in our technology, CNN, BBC, and many, many more besides. So lots going on, and this is the exciting context within which you should see your awards today, graduates. You're graduating from a university that places our students at the heart of all that we're doing, because we value the excellence in education, in research, and the translation of what we do with business and industry to society and into the world of business. And with regard to internationalisation, the world's best universities contribute, collaborate, and compete on the international stage. And we're no different. We have had many high-end international strategic partnerships, and I've been to just about all of them in the past 6 months. In North America, Stanford, MIT, New York University, world top 20 universities. In China, we work with Peking University in Tsinghua. Myself and the 2 deans were there about 6 weeks ago, and the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. And these institutions can choose wherever they might collaborate, but they choose us because of the quality of what we do and how we deliver value. And in spite of Brexit, the soft power of universities has been a continual umbilical between the UK and Europe. I was public about my disappointment about us leaving Europe on that basis, but we're coming again together through research, people exchange, idea exchange, and a sense of common purpose. And recently we have opened a Middle East campus, as it happens in Bahrain, going wonderfully well, but that took up a lot of my time and the time of the engineering dean over the weekend, because we had to take some of our people out of Bahrain because of what they were experiencing in terms of the potential destabilisation between Iran and Israel and America. But thankfully, our staff and our students are safe, and we will continue to operate there. But all of you, our students, have benefited directly, consciously or otherwise, from being part of an international university, helping you to emerge with the skills you need for your career, for Scotland, and for whatever part of the world you choose to apply your trade in. And you've been exposed, remember, to the richness and the value of different cultures and traditions. And importantly, you're graduating today, hopefully understanding your obligations as global citizens. And you heard me mentioning socially progressive. That's not a label for us. It's part of our DNA. And we take, amongst the research-intensive universities in Scotland, we take the highest number of young people for the most challenged, displaced communities in Scotland. I don't like the term, the Scottish Index of Multiple Deprivation, because I come from the lowest quintile, and I never felt multiply deprived, I have to tell you. I felt loved, I felt supported, but we didn't have an awful lot to invest in the future. But I came here to Strathclyde, and 1,300 of those young people came here today. We get them in, they come in, stay in, and then we graduate them. And I should say to you, just about a month ago, we had our first graduation of the season. It's our Young Strathclyder programme, where we had, over 2 days, 500 youngsters aged 5 to 12 from about 20 primary schools in Glasgow, all bouncing, 5 to 12, wearing their gowns and their mortarboards. Let me tell you, it was hard for me to cap them. Some of them were skipping along and bouncing along. But we were graduating in front of their mums, their dads, their grannies, their uncles, their teachers. And the majority of the families had never been across the threshold of a university. But what we were telling the youngsters, but their parents most importantly, this place is for you. And whilst we have that widening access strategy, I'm delighted to tell you we have the joint 5th highest entrance qualifications in the UK. So making a nonsense of this idea, if you have a widening participation programme, you must be lowering your standards. Not a bit of it. And I'm very proud of my staff that lead all of this. So let me conclude by characterising your institution, Strathclyde in 2025. I would describe us as being distinctive, for sure. We're ambitious, we're focused, and we've got momentum. And we have to continue to work with the agility and commitment as any entrepreneurial business does, such as Lord Haughey's business. We have to absorb the thumps and bumps of policy and economic upset. But we're doing it, and we're doing it well. It's a great privilege for me to lead this great institution with outstanding support I get from the executive team, from these fantastic academics, professional services and support staff. And I truly believe if John Anderson was here today, he'd recognise a place that he wanted to create. And Willie made reference to that. It's a place of useful learning that is comfortable in its own clothes and takes its role seriously for society and economy. And all of you graduates, I am sure that the class of 2025 can truly become a vintage year. You've shown commitment, great application, and ultimately you've now been successful. And hopefully you've had a bit of fun along the way as well. We're all very proud of you. And let me remind you, since 1964, when we got our charter, we've graduated nearly 250,000 Strathclyders. So that's quite a community that you're joining. So remember, please, that wherever you now take your degree and wherever you decide to pursue your career, truly useful learning means that you should apply your knowledge for the benefits of others. Try to make a positive impact, of course, for yourselves, but the communities that you belong to. Respect diversity, value freedom of expression and thought, and reach conclusions and resolve disputes through reason and tolerance, because these characterise the very core values of your university. So, we're here to mark your fantastic achievements. Well done to all of you, and on behalf of the university, let me extend our sincere congratulations to each and every one of you. I wish you every success in the future, and please remember to stay in touch with us all, and do let us know about your progress. Well done again, and please enjoy the rest of this very special day. I have been given the age-old digital signal of a thumbs up at the back of the hall, which means it's actually quite sunny outside. So what I'm going to say is I close the procession, or close the congregation. We're going to process from the stage. The graduates will follow as friends, families. Please join us. There's a reception at the Learning and Teaching building. We'll get a chance to mingle with you to close the day. So just as we close, let's give these graduates one final round of applause. And with that, I declare the congregation closed and ask you to be upstanding. Thank you.